It was chaos, drama and confusion as Nigeria's Ogun State House of Assembly impeached the Speaker, Hon Olakunle Taiwo Oluomo, with immediate effect. Also, the inauguration of Joseph Boakai as the Liberian president on Monday came to an abrupt end when he suddenly suffered a heat stroke while reading his acceptance speech. These are the issues. Welcome to the conversation. I am Dakbo Adigboye. Let's talk. The Ogun State House of Assembly impeached the Speaker, Hon Olakunle Taiwo Oluomo, with immediate effect. According to an impeachment letter signed by 18 members of the House on Tuesday, the lawmakers said the Speaker was removed because of gross misconduct, financial misappropriation, amongst others. Now, Dr. Ayo Arowojolu, public affairs analyst, and also Yomi Oke Asiwaju, a public affairs analyst, both join from Ogun State. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Good evening.
All right, let me start off with you, Dr. Arowojolu. I mean, interesting time, you say, in Ogun State. Yesterday, we saw all of the chaos, initial chaos and drama play out. I would like to know how you reacted or what your reaction is, with the sudden events that happened at the State House.
Well, thank you, Dako. The first thing I would like to say is that everybody loves change. Who wouldn't like change? That house has been there for 4 years and another going to 1 year. It's not been a roller coaster for Kunle Oluomo. There have been growing discontent, and which culminated in what we saw yesterday. Change is good. Change is constant, particularly if they are for the right reasons. And the way it is since yesterday, one has expected a fight back, but none has happened. There's a great calm in Ogun State, in Abeokuta, and also the State House of Assembly complex. The governor has received the lawmakers, and I think it's an action that has come for good. Let me stop there.
All right, let me go to Yomi right now. Your reaction to the events that unfolded yesterday in Ogun State State House. Yomi, I'm asking your reaction to what happened yesterday at the State House in Ogun State.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dapo. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
It came as a surprise to many of us who live within the state because it was, I'm going to use the word too well planned. Watertight information, like no one got a glimpse or a glimpse of what was going to happen. So it came to some of us as a surprise that 18 out of 26 would actually come together to say enough is enough for the speaker, the former speaker now, Right Senator Olakunle Oluomo. However, for those who are students of history, or for those who probably live in the state, they will recall that this is not the first time that we're having such a move to impeach the Speaker of the House of the State House of Assembly in the state. However, the only difference in this is that this does not have to do with, it has nothing to do, with the sitting governor of the state. This is entirely the business of the legislators.
Yomi, sorry to cut in. Yomi, sorry to interrupt, but it looks like we are having some sort of audio feedback. So maybe it's your television set that is on, or the audio from your phone is also blaring out. We are having some sort of double audio feedback. You might want to turn off one of those so that we can hear you seamlessly. But what? Okay, okay, I think it's better now. Please go ahead.
Maybe I should just pick it up from where I said it comes to us as a subject.
Yes.
But the only thing is that for those of us who have been following events in Ogun State, we recall that in the 6th House, that is during Right Honorable Titi Oseni, something like this played out when she was equally impeached in her 2nd term in office. Then she was the speaker when Otumba Gbenga Daniel was the governor. The only difference between what happened then and now is that this has nothing to do with the governor of the state. This is purely and entirely the business of the legislators. And they are quick to say this unequivocally, to the press, that this has nothing to do with the governor. They were not sponsored by the governor, and they were not actually divided. Unlike in the 6th legislature, when we had a divided house, where some pitched their tent with Right Honorable Betokun, and some pitched their tent with Titi Oseni, who was of the governor then, that is Gbenga Daniel. But in this case, 18 legislators unanimously decided that enough is enough of high-handedness, enough of misappropriation of funds, enough of so many things, gross misconduct, like they said, that they alleged the former speaker of. So, like I said, it is not a new thing, but the only difference is that this is entirely the legislator's business, and we cannot trace any hand, leg, or even the shadow of the governor in this instance. This is purely the legislature.
All right. Now, I will come back to you. I want to go to Dr. Arowojolu now. Let's talk about the way and manner the lawmakers actually did conduct themselves. I wish that video could come up right now, where we saw a particular lawmaker holding the mace of the House and forcefully trying to, control things and insisting that a lady's, seats, on a particular seat. I mean, you can see what's on your screen here. Before then, even before they could get into the house, there was another video where one of them had to use a big stone to break the padlock, forcefully to gain some sort of entrance. We also understand that at some point, even the man in white with the mace was being investigated, for an alleged claim that, he was carrying ammunition. I would like to know your take as regards their conduct. Couldn't there have been a better way, for the lawmakers to have gone about this, as against the drama we saw unfold yesterday? Dr. Arowojolu.
Thank you very much. We are talking about power here. It's a power game. We need to understand first from this background that Olakunle Oluomo is an old hand in that assembly. The same for the new speaker, Honorable Oludaisi Elemide. Oluomo, they were both of them were in the House in the last 4 consecutive times. Even though the new speaker skipped a particular legislative assembly, so he's like 3-term lawmaker, while Oluomo is like 4-term. Both of them are experienced, and if you're going to remove somebody like Oluomo, it's not going to be a tea party. In fact, somebody said yesterday that how is it that they just removed this man just like a chicken? That said, we must applaud the people who staged the power show, because there was no violence. Relatively, you just had, them having that smooth change of power, notwithstanding what you're talking about. When my other friend,
but was it okay was it okay for a member of the House to have held onto the mace like that?
Well, I was explaining that this is Nigeria and we are talking about power. You cannot look at what has happened in Ogun in isolation. There have been, leadership change in Plateau State. There have been in Oyo State. There have even been instances where minority, just a few of them, maybe 6, took over the house and served an impeachment that was successful. So to that extent, in the context of Nigeria, I do not think they have done anything untoward. After all, in the Nigerian Senate, you saw an Omo Agege who took the mace, stomped on the floor of the Senate and did all those shenanigans and nothing happened. So for that reason, I want to say that we still need to commend the action of these legislators, particularly the new speaker, Daisy Elemide. My colleague said there that the governor's hand is not there, blah, blah, blah. You never can say never with politicians. Some people believe to the contrary. But whatever it is, what is important is that this thing, permit me to say it in Yoruba, is not Oyedile. The speaker is the, first among equals. They preferred him and chose him to lead them. So, and that was what the new speaker was saying yesterday, like, come, we have 18 legislators here, and they have chosen me. So, if we are talking about, this is not debatable. They have done the right thing, you see, because people who are speakers should learn, and even Honorable Daisy Elemide, the new speaker, should also learn, that, see, power is transient. You are there to serve the interest of the people. So it's the interest of the people that we are talking about here.
All right.
And it remains to be seen.
All right. Some would also ask that, is it truly the interest of the people or the interest of a few, maybe in the House? But I would like to know Yomi's reaction to this. Do you think the change or the transition of power, based on what we saw yesterday, was smooth?
That's what I'm saying. I would believe
I'm going to, of course, Dr. Arowojolu.
All right.
I would say. Beg your pardon?
I'm going to Yomi on that one. The question is for Yomi.
All right, thank you. You see, let me start by saying that the drama that ensued yesterday, especially seeing the legislator wearing white, Honorable Adegoke, in custody of the maze, going up and down, creating what one can call probably a cinematographic expression, was not necessary at all. For me, I feel he just wanted to trend, and he trended yesterday and even till today, because the process went on without any form of maybe attack from the other side. As a matter of fact, the one thing we should note here is that both the majority in the House and the minority are on the same page on this issue. You saw the minority leader address the press, and he said it there, that for this action, they have, the majority, the ruling party, have the support of the opposition, of the minority in the House. So I think for me, there was no need for the, I don't know what that man was trying to do at the gate, trying to break through and all that. Nobody is fighting you. That same yesterday, the governor of the state was swearing in new permanent secretaries. I think even the speaker that was impeached was at an event, according to my sources, at the cultural center in Abeokuta there. So there wasn't any form of attack. There wasn't form of any strong opposition to what you were carrying out. So all those jumping up and down, carrying the maze and all that, for me, I think the drama wasn't necessary. Now, it has been adjudged that that transition from the former speaker to the new speaker, I mean, that change of power was actually violence-free. Truly, it was violence-free. But the question is it right for the honorable in white to be going up and down with or moving up and down with the mace? Where is the sergeant at hand? We could see that even the deputy speaker was actually in tune with what happened, even though they are trying to create a scenario that appeared as if she was under duress, you know, pushing her to say, sit down there, sit down there. All this can be translated as if she was probably under duress. But from what I see, or from what I heard, I think they were all on the same page, because she also appended a signature on that notice of impeachment. You saw how they are also trying to make the deputy clerk of the house to also sit. The clerk of the house was also very, he displayed certain level of poise there. He wasn't seen. It does not appear as if he was also under duress or he was being pushed to do what he carried out. So there was no need for that drama as far as I'm concerned. And at the end, one can conclude and we can say that that transition was actually violence-free.
All
and
right,
I believe that the change that has been made would definitely be sustained without any form of a brutal attack from the other side.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but let's look at the person of Honorable Oluomo and the allegations put before him. Gross misconduct and also misappropriation. I mean, would you say to some extent this is substantive?
See, as a matter of fact, the former speaker, Right Honorable Oluomo, has a case with the EFCC. On that grounds alone, it was not, for me, it was not supposed to have even aspired to be the next speaker in 2023. Normally, on a moral ground, when you have such a case going on, especially with an anti-graft agency, it is important that you step aside so that investigation can be carried out unabated without any form of undue influence from your side. But because it's the ruling party, they allowed him to run again and he eventually emerged. So what happened yesterday, even according to the members of the House, they said ought to have happened before now, but they didn't want to distract, according to them, the governor of the state, because it too has a case at the Supreme Court. Of course, just last week, Friday, he has been vindicated. So there's no distraction again. And that was why they had to carry out this impeachment yesterday in the House. So for me, if they say misappropriation of funds, yes, the public, we are in the know of the fact that he has a case with the anti-graft agency, EFCC. So whether...
Jomi, are you there? Okay, let's move to Dr. Arowojole. We lost connection with Yomi. Once we are able to connect, of course, we'll get his view. I would like to come back to you. Let's talk about the person of Honorable Oluomo on this one. I mean, the allegations against him and also the fact that, like you have said, it's been around when it comes to, politics and politicking, particularly at the State House. Would you say that some of these allegations, stick?
Thank you. Well, in any power game, they will reel out a lot of, they have to reel out grants for which they are undertaking their actions. You see, none of us was there. And this issue is highly perceptional. As a communication professional, you talk about selective perception. Maybe we will wait till some of them will write their memoirs. I think they did what they were supposed to do. When he was talking about, there was no opposition, you do know that there was tear gas on the floor of the assembly. It was going to be rancorous, and if they had not acted fast, they would not have been able to succeed in what they did. Now, talking about allegations, embezzlement, whatever, I think the onus lies on Oluomo. If he has anything to say to correct that, to defend his name, I think the narrative properly now should be that a change has occurred. And to us, after about more than 24 hours, Honorable Oluomo is calm, the House is calm, the new speaker and all the other teams, they are calm. It means that we move everybody. You know, I do not think the 18 lawmakers did anything on Taiwan. This is Nigeria, and this is even Abeokuta, Ogun State. It has happened before. We know how leadership change at the House of Assembly has been. Violence, in sometimes for almost a whole year, they close the whole place, police seal up the place. So what are we talking about? We should know that a change has occurred. It has been accepted. People jubilated because they saw the change. But more importantly, what is in it for the people? Will this leadership change bring about the delivery of democratic dividends to the people? If you ask me, I think it remains to be seen, you know, and I think we should give them time to see how the thing will evolve. But we must say that the new speaker is an old hand, like I said before, quite experienced, looks conservative and humble and gentle, and beyond what a display of exuberance from the other lawmakers in his camp, you cannot say the same of him.
All right. I would like to come in here on the aspect of the new speaker, talking about Honorable Daisy Olemide. Now, of course, like you've said, is pretty much been around when it comes to politics in the state. And right now, what would you say are the biggest challenges before the new speaker? What are those things he needs to address? What should we look forward to when it comes to policy initiatives, particularly concerning the state? And also, do you think that this new speaker will have a mind of his own, given the circumstances at which he became the speaker?
I will tell you straight, the new speaker has to be a man of himself. You know, he must win himself from the shackles of the government. His predecessor, Oluomo, one of his undoings, you know, anytime he features on radio or television, he will always speak for the government. He will always speak for the executive arm. And I will call him and say, no, this is not your job. You are not the chief press secretary. You are not the information commissioner. The way the Constitution envisages the role of the House of Assembly is to act as an oversight, is to be a check and balance, you know, concerning what is being done in the executive. Somebody said just last week that governors in Nigeria are like emperors. In fact, somebody said the governor is the government. That should change. That narrative should not continue with, you know, Olemide, even though, given the circumstance of his emergence, it will be foolhardy to want to expect that he would go against the governor, or, you know, because every governor wants a rubber stamp assembly. That is really the fact, you know. But knowing his pedigree, because he started out, Olemide was an Oshoba man, if I remember very well. You see, when you are able to hold your head and carve a niche for yourself, after some time, you are not just anybody's man. that is going to be a bit tough and challenging for him. But if he remembers where he's coming from, I think he must work towards making the State House of Assembly independent of the government and the executive. It's going to be a Herculean task, but I think he can. And then the governor should know that it will not be business as usual. The rate at which you get government's bills passed, the request for money, request for loans here and there is also happening even at the center. We should be able to have a house that will sit to say, look, we're going to scrutinize your papers. If it is okay for the people, we approve. So I see that it's not going to be that easy for him, but looking at him, humble, and being a conservative man, it's chances are high that he will pull through. But the governor should not expect that here is somebody who have in his pocket. I think the game has changed in the assembly.
All right. Let me know your mistake too on this. Do you think that the new speaker will have a mind, of his own, given the circumstances at which, it got to power in terms of becoming the Speaker of the House? And also, what do you think are the biggest challenges ahead for the new Speaker, particularly when it comes to policy, reforms in the state?
All right. I think we need to first register the fact that Honorable Lemide is an experienced lawmaker. Aside from being an experienced lawmaker, he has always held that office of the Speaker. He contested against this same Honorable Oluomo in the first term because they were both experienced. I think they came in from the 7th or 8th legislature, and eventually he was told to step down for Oluomo. This 2023 again, he came out to contest, but at the end of the day, the will of the majority prevailed. So that goes to show that he is ready for the job, and he would definitely learn or pick up lessons from the mistake of his predecessors. Now, talking about how the challenges or how he should take up responsibility as a Speaker of the House, I think number one is that he should see the House as truly the voice of the people. They are there to serve the people, to protect the interests of the people. Just like my co-analyst said, it is not expected of the House to begin to serve as a spokesperson or as a voice for the executive arm. Instead, they have to be on the side of the people, ensuring that the right policies becomes law in the House, of course, for the advancement of for the progress of the state as a whole. So it is expected that it would also carry members of the House along as he is, discharging his duty as first among equals in the House, of course, as Speaker of the House. So it should also show to the House, just like he said, that truly this House is not a rubber stamp House. By vetting thoroughly the proposals of the executive arm and ensure that the House is also transparent. Let us see what transpires at the level of the House. This will give confidence and, of course, will enshrine trust in the minds of the people that truly we have an independent legislature that prioritizes the needs of the people. So the House needs to be transparent. Let's begin to see what the House is doing through press releases, through special programs on TV, where we can see how the proceedings.
What would you say right now is the biggest need of residents of Ogun State that you feel the government there needs to address?
I didn't get that correctly.
The biggest needs or the list of needs, I mean, when it comes to priority, top 3 that you feel the government of Ogun State through the House needs to address for residents.
All right, first, road infrastructure. road infrastructure in Ogun State needs to be seriously addressed. And I recall that in 2019, when the government came on board, through the House, I think they declared a state of emergency on our roads in Ogun State. So briefly, number one, road infrastructure. Number two, environment. Environment. Our environment is dirty in Ogun State. We need to quickly address that. Of course, in line with sustainable development goals, our state should be clean. It should be second best, if not first best in Nigeria. And of course, thirdly, because Ogun State is an industrial hub, of course, Ota is there, Ota is there, the Remo site is also there, coming up now as an industrial hub. We need to begin to see the impact of this on the livelihood of the people. So there must be an enhanced lifestyle on the part of the people. Our economy must grow. We must see that also reflect in the lives of the people. So if you ask me again, number one, road infrastructure. Number two, the cleaner environment. And number three, stable economy. And of course, prosperity for the people of the state. They must feel the impact of the state being an industrial hub in the country.
All right, Yomi. I thought you would also mention security. I mean, from time to time, we get to see a lot of, security situation when it comes to cult clashes and also alleged ritualistic killings. But thank you so much for your...
Happen in one part of the state, which is the Ogun East Senatorial District. But the three things I've mentioned now cut across the three senatorial districts: Ogun West, Ogun East, and Ogun Central. So the Ogun East thing is the cultist palaver, and I think the state government is from there. It should be able to undo that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Dr. Ayo Arowojolu, Public Affairs Analyst, and also Yomi Okeashiwaju, Public Affairs Analyst, both joining from Ogun State, Nigeria. Gentlemen, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Right now, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we will be going to Liberia, where they had the presidential inauguration yesterday. But a little bit of drama did happen. Stay with us. This is still the conversation. Now, let's move to Liberia, where the inauguration of Joseph Boakai as the Liberian president on Monday came to an abrupt end when he suddenly suffered a heat stroke while reading his acceptance speech. Boakai was helped out of the podium by security details. The 79-year-old had taken the oath of office, but midway into his acceptance speech, he stuttered to a halt. Boakai was declared Liberia's president on November 20th, 2023, with 50.64% votes to defeat incumbent George Weah. Of course, joining me on the program right now is Professor Adam M. Kane, international human rights advocate, and also Wilmot Paye, former national chairman, Unity Party, both from Monrovia, Liberia. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Let me start off with you, Professor. Of course, Adam. What would be? Looking at what we saw yesterday during the inauguration of the president, where he, of course, midway into his speech, suffered a heat stroke and could not continue. Right? Would you say, to some extent, some sort of revelation to, or pointer to the state of health to the new president?
Well, I would first have to correct that. I think that is a misconception relative to him. I think there was a break in the speech, but as a result of heat stroke, but I don't think he continued his speech. According to what I've learned, yes, there might have been heat stroke, but the true reality is after getting off some of those layers, he was able to continue his speech, and it was one of the, some of the funniest speeches that was given in the country. So let me correct that misconception relative to him not continuing his speech, but he continued his speech and he ended his speech, matter of fact.
But looking at the state of, I mean, the age, and also, I mean, looking maybe subsequently into the state of the health of the new president, do you think that Liberians should be worried?
Well, I wouldn't say worried because even those of us who live in the United States, Donald Trump was an older guy. Joseph Biden, Joe Biden, who's the president, has aged to in a state of that nature, or the Nigerian president. I think it is he having that wisdom coming to the presidency and being able to be creative enough to bring people around him that will alleviate some of the stresses that might create whatever the situation is. But I think he's physically fit for mine. I've interacted with him, met with him one-on-one. So I think he's physically fit. It's just the presidency comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of load on you. And so you dedicate responsibility and bring people around you who are able to do the job. So I don't think age is a factor relative to the presidency. It's just a matter of who you bring around you to do the job.
All right, now let me go to you, Wilmot. I mean, your reaction to what happened on the day of the inauguration, and of course, do you think there should be concerns concerning the state of health of the new president?
No, I really do not think so. After all, the issue of health has always been raised. It was raised over the last 6, 7+ years. That didn't change the dynamics in politics yet. And fortunately for me, I was privileged to have worked with the president of Liberia now, even his immediate past boss, the former president, Weah's predecessor, who herself was about the same age when she administered the affairs of this country. I'm the least worried because I know that his mental state is perfect, he's accurate, and he is somebody who is sober. In fact, as a matter of fact, after the inauguration, the inaugural ceremony, yes, of course, the heat wave did affect the program to some extent. I was affected, even though I'm quote unquote relatively young and I may appear to be healthy, but it did affect me as well because on Monday, the temperature was unusual for a typical Nigerian setting. Notwithstanding the fact that we are in the tropics. But having said that, after that, the president went on to even begin the pronouncements of his cabinet. He did make some appointments on that night, that very night. And then since then, yesterday, he had a series of meetings with the president of Ghana, who is also chairman of the ECOWAS bloc, and then went on to meet the U.S. delegation, the Chinese delegation, high-level Chinese delegation, the Japanese delegation, and other regional representatives and major players from around the world who have come to grace the occasion. Even today, the president continued on that. So it's not a question of health. It's not a question of health. It's a question of temperature. A temperature adjustment that was being predicted by the planners of the event. And as a matter of fact, inaugurations are state events organized and executed by incumbent administrations who are turning over to a new administration. So I think some things went wrong with the planning, which is understandable. Obviously, the air conditioning, apparently the planners might have miscalculated that because the venue faces the Atlantic Ocean where the sea breeze is active and during the day and all of that. Unfortunately, they didn't take that into consideration, the fact that there's a global variation in climate. And that's what happened. So
okay.
I'm the lead worried.
I mean,
the president is in a perfect state of health. And
okay, that of course is established by you, saying that the president is fit and of course are good to run. You said that you've worked with him sometime in the past, and to some extent you might be able to, of course, talk about the person of the new president. How would you describe President Boakai, particularly when it comes to policy issues, when it comes to reaction to issues, and also his stance on some of the, what I call it, pressing issues that Liberians are going through at the moment?
That's a very good question. As I say, I worked with him for 10 years. Firstly, where Liberians should take solace, where the world, our partners, should have the confidence in dealing with the new administration headed by President Boakai, is the fact that he is a sober person, very reflective, very kind, even under the most tempting circumstances. He reflects, he consults broadly before making any decisions. He's not hasty to make any decisions. He calculates very well, and he's somebody with vast experience compared, in fact, in the most recent history of our country. I don't know about any leader who started from way at the bottom and ascended all the way to the top. He has not just managerial and administrative experiences, but he also has that leadership experience. He's a man who is self-confident, somebody who is able to walk across the aisle, somebody who can reach out, he can appeal. He has a strong appeals among the young people, among women, among the different professional communities of our country.
All right,
He's favored among farmers and the business community, and of course, he was once a diplomat and Liberia's ambassador accredited.
All right, Wilmot, I'm sorry because we're pressed for time. I might just need to cut in so that we can hear from Professor Kane. Let's talk about what you feel in 30 seconds, Professor Kane, that the president should currently address as regards Liberians. We know the economy is there. We know that security is there. We also understand that health, the health sector too is there. There's also the aspect of brain drain and all of that. Of all of this, what do you think the new administration should address immediately?
The president has been very vocal relative to two major factors, especially auditing. I think having the current or the past government being audited is one of those things on his priority list. And corruption, of course, would be one of the things too that he addresses. And obviously, health related, that would be the at-risk youth, which has become a priority for him, because the argument is, even if we get rid of corruption without alleviating substance addiction within the country, will still live in some level of fear. And so I think he's taking on that head on to make sure that over 120,000 people who are stranded on drugs have some level of intervention to alleviate drug addiction within the country, to at least give the country a place that is more safe for every one of us, and we can live in a better, peaceful area relative to our consciousness and cognitive ability. I think that's what he's thinking about. Those will be the things that he prioritizes.
All right, Professor Adam M. Kane, international human rights advocate, and also Wilmot Payne, that's a former national chairman, Unity Party, joining from Monrovia, Liberia. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. And that's a wrap on the show today. It's important we state that every opinion and view of our guest remains theirs and not that of News Central. Many thanks to Aisha Adebayo and her team. My name is Dakbo Adegboye. Bye for now.